Dragon Ball Legends is set to drop their biggest update ever, which was teased during the 6th anniversary almost a year ago, and this has got many people, myself included, extremely hyped for some great changes. So I decided to ask you guys what you want to see the most for this update and compiled a list. So Toshi, Tani, if you guys are watching this, take note, because first on the list is going to be my pick, and it's destructible / dynamic environment. This would actually add a whole new layer of detail in PvP. Like, just imagine you're fighting and then the rock behind the opponent just gets destroyed. They would have to make severe changes, a lot of changes to the actual PvP maps themselves to make it so like they interact. But even if there was no like actual destructible environment stuff, anything that's like dynamic would be cool. A great example I can think of is, let's say there's a Tournament of Power stage, and if you guys remember, the Tournament of Power in the anime went through 3 different background changes, right? It was like a dark blackish, then it became green, then it became purple, right? Imagine during a PvP fight, the background changes. It could be due to an ultimate or whatever the case may be. The timer counts, maybe after 60 timer counts it changes or something like that, which is exactly how the Tournament of Power was. So stuff like that could actually add a new layer of intricacy to PvP matches. Even though it's just aesthetic, it would be pretty nice if they don't want to go with the destructible environment type, right? Another example could be like Planet Namek. Let's say you're on Planet Namek and then you launch an ultimate and it destroys the whole planet. Becomes destroyed Planet Namek, right? I'm pretty sure like Fighters has it. These type of environments are really common in regular console Dragon Ball games, and we've never really seen it in Dragon Ball Legends, obviously. So something like this would be really great. It's like I said, it's an aesthetic. It doesn't really change the flow of a PvP match, but it's just those nice little details that really make a difference. I also saw people talk about ground fights. Now, ground fight would be kind of cool also. They would actually have to rework the whole battle system itself for that to work out, because your character model is always in a state of floating, or I guess flying. Even with the characters that can fly, they have the jetpack. So they would actually have to land on the floor, and then the side steps have to be kind of different. The dash forward has to be kind of different. I mean, if they want to do all that rework, I think that would be cool, but I don't think they would apply that much of a change to it for something that would virtually not really do anything, right? And then in addition to these environment changes, something that could be also cool is implementing some sort of domain effects, exactly how it is in Dokkan. So for those of you who don't know, I'm not an expert in this, so I don't know the full explanation on this, but certain characters have an ability that's called domain, and it basically changes the whole battlefield into whatever their domain is. I think the latest like LR Cell, I don't know if it's an LR honestly, but he has a domain where it changes the battlefield into the Cell Games arena, which is pretty cool. There's Zamasu has a domain where it becomes Infinite Zamasu, which is pretty cool. We have no representation of Infinite Zamasu in the game, so that could be one way of adding it. So there's so much they can do with just strictly environment changes in the battle that would make it really cool. They've already kind of taken a step forward with the succession mechanic of Trunks and Gohan, where you actually see you actually see Trunks land on the floor. You see Gohan on the floor dead in the puddle, and you know Trunks transforms. So that's already in the game. They've already added that. So I feel like that's like, you know, baby steps towards actually implementing dynamic environments. And if they actually go full throttle and implementing more stuff like, you know, Destroy Planet Namek, Tournament of Power, all that stuff, it's going to be pretty cool. Now, another one that a lot of people brought up was specifically increasing character animations, or like more detailed, more intricate character animations. Now that is something that I think they're gonna do. I do think they've already started to implement that. If you actually just take a look, like we've talked about, the succession mechanic, Daima Goku's LF, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta's LF, Zamasu, all these LFs and Ultras we've been getting, mainly the LF units, their animations are really nice. Their LF animations are really damn cool. It's like the 5 LFs we've gotten this year are all like top 10 in my opinion. Like, they're so well done. Maybe not the future Trunks and Gohan. His LF is kind of bland, but his succession animation kind of makes up for it. Boss's LF is crazy. Daima Goku, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, probably has the best looking LF in the game. It's pretty nice, and they've been doing a pretty good job at increasing the level of quality of these LFs, even from last year. If you take a look at the last year LFs, they've been some of the best in the game, right? Super 17, Omega Shenron was really good. Broly's was good. Super Vegito, come on, it's like one of the best in the game. So the LF quality, the LF animation quality has been increasing every year, and I think with this big update, they're just gonna go even further beyond with these LF animations. Now, sticking with the character animations, a lot of people also mentioned the possibility of potential giant characters. Now, giant characters have been quote-unquote in the game, but it's not really as a character, right? The only way they've managed to implement giant characters has been through some sort of animation, and typically was the LF animation or as a final counter. Cell Max, we have Hirudegarn. Those are the only quote-unquote giant models we've had through a final counter animation. But then we also have Super Baby 2 that has the LF grade ape animation, and of course we have the red grade ape Vegeta has the LF animation, right? So giant characters, they're actually a big part of Dragon Ball. There's a lot of giant characters in Dragon Ball, right? Like, you know, Giant Lord Slug, the ones we've already mentioned, Cell Max, all that stuff. Janemba as a giant character. So there's a lot of giant characters that are in the actual anime that they're not able to implement into Legends because they're not able to create the models, or they're not able to fit in those models with the battle animation. Now, I don't really know how they would manage to do this. The only way I can think of them including or incorporating giant characters would not be as a playable one, but maybe as like a boss fight, maybe a raid type of situation where like a co-op style fight attacking the boss actually would be exactly like a full power battle where you have like 4 allies and they're all attacking a giant character. So it would kind of strictly be reserved for PvE, but if they somehow manage to get these giant characters in game, like I said, I don't know how they would do it, but I'm sure they're trying to work towards getting this done in the game because, like I said, it's a big part of Dragon Ball and we're not able to utilize it. So probably a lot of people would summon for them, right? Especially Cell Max, who's like the latest one. So actually, even Giant Goma, we won't be able to get Giant Goma in the game because he's a giant. They would have to size him down, make him the same size as Corrupted Zamasu because that's currently the largest character we have, so they would have to make him his size. But yeah, these characters, we're not able to have them playable, and that's because there's no way to have them playable in PvP. So I don't know if they're working on that, but would love to see that. And of course, sticking around with these character animations, multi-transforming units would be something that would be really cool to see. Characters in Dragon Ball have multiple transformations, right? Not just one, as we've seen so far. Having Goku go from Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, that would be cool. You know, Super Saiyan God Blue into UI. Frieza going through all his transformations. Cell going through all his transformations. Like, we need these type of characters because in most Dragon Ball games, you're able to just transform into all these forms, right? So missing out on those type of key elements that make Dragon Ball is something that Dragon Ball Legends is lacking. So if they're able to incorporate multi-transforming units down the line, that would be a big W. Now, with this big update dropping, it's important to note that we need to at least see some sort of fix to the PvP connection or the just overall lag or slash matchmaking that is currently ongoing in this game. It's a big issue. I feel like it's been a massive issue throughout the whole game, but it's been getting a lot worse recently. Constantly unstable connection, an insane amount of lag is just unbearable. It's making this unbearable meta even more unbearable. Like, just imagine you're fighting a Daima team and it's lagging. Do you know how fucking terrible that is? No, that is just ass. They need to fix matchmaking because that's, at the core of it, that's the biggest issue, because currently it's probably just matching you with players within your rank, kind of, and that could potentially lead to poor connection because it's probably trying to match you with someone that's probably not even near you in the first place. So I think the connection should be probably the biggest factor when matchmaking and not the rank. Now, obviously your rank has to be some sort of determining factor because you can't just be in the top 1k and matching with people in the top 10k, right? That doesn't work like that. But I think the connection should take more importance when matchmaking over your rank, but they need to have some sort of balance between the two because we can't have these two extremes, right? Either way, they need to somehow fix this because you can make all these changes to the game, introduce all these cool characters and all that stuff, but if you're struggling to even play the game smoothly, then what is the point of that? This is a big issue that they have to fix, and if they can't fix it with this big update, then what is the point of this update? Moving on, this is another big thing that a lot of people have mentioned, and it's going to be a rework of the equipment upgrade system. Currently, this system, man, it is so dog shit. It is so bad. It is terrible. It is terrible. They need to fix this somehow. Now, they are starting to kind of lay the groundwork for this, I think, by removing the soul boost system. Because if you're not aware, they are removing the soul boost system with this new update. They've already confirmed this in the news, which means you don't have to soul boost your characters. You don't have to soul boost your Zen characters, and the souls are going to be practically useless, right? Which is important to note because when you're upgrading an equipment, you need souls, right? You need rising souls, you need your super souls, all that stuff, right? I believe they said that they're going to be changing this into some different type of soul for equipment specifically, and I hope this makes it a lot better because we already know the equipment upgrade system is actually the single worst system or feature in this game. It's dog shit. The awakening system is just even worse than that. That is some pure dog shit right there. They need to fix that, or at least if you're gonna allow this awakening system to stick around, at least let us be able to bulk awaken. Not this fucking single awakening shit every single time you have to go get 30 equipment medals or equipment fragments from your USDR shop. I have to get another 20 equipments from the exchange shop over there. Do all this mixing and bullshit, and then all this just to awaken it 40 times for maybe potentially a C rank equipment. Like, now this awakening system is actually dog shit. They need to fix this ASAP. And then might as well talk about the equipment rates, because the equipment rates have been getting worse and worse. I feel like they just completely decreased the rates recently. Like, it's taking a lot more erasers, it's taking a lot more Zenny cap has to be increased, because honestly I think that's the main reason why these raids have been pretty much permanently added. Because if you haven't noticed, raids have been they're pretty much permanent at this point. They drop a raid every week or every 2 weeks, it seems like. Once the last one leaves, they got a new one coming up, and so on and so forth, right? And because we have access to so many erasers through these raids, I feel like they've also decreased the rates of these equipments. I don't think that's far-fetched to say. That actually makes a lot of sense. If you're gonna be providing us so many erasers, they're probably making these equipments so dog shit that you're gonna need all these equipments anyway. And then the Zenny, it takes even more Zenny. The 10 billion Zenny count that we have right now is just not enough. It goes away like that. It's so bad. You can burn through like 5 billion Zenny just rerolling for one equipment. So if they need to make major changes to these equipments, because equipments is a very crucial part of this game. You need proper equipments, and they make a massive difference for your teams and performance in PvP. So if such an important feature like this, like the equipment upgrade system is like this, they need to make a huge change to it, because it's a core feature of this game and it's a miserable feature at that. Please, this is honestly one of the top priorities for them, and it's to fix this, because honestly the user experience on this is terrible. Next up, it's pretty much a broad category, and it's basically just changes to PvE in general. Now, we already know that Legends is practically mainly a PvP centric game, right? Get the characters and you hop into PvP to use it. But you know, not everyone wants to be playing PvP, and it's understandable. I personally don't see why you would even want to play this game if you're not going to be playing PvP, because that's really the main selling point of this game. But if you're someone that just doesn't like PvP or whatever the case may be, you need to have something to fall back on. And the story mode, I would say, is pretty good, because the story is actually interesting. But outside of story mode, PvE events are just actually bad. They've done multiple tests, multiple events, multiple styles of events, and they've just never managed to actually find something that works. Full power battle, dog shit. Co-op, it's dog shit. Raids, it's dog shit. It's basically co-op. They've introduced the God Challenge event, which is, I haven't tried it post the new battle system, but pre-battle system update, where you can actually PV at long range, that shit is actual trash. I'm assuming it's a bit bearable now, because you don't have the CPU waiting at long range trying to PV every single blast card you throw at him. But it's still, once again, dog shit. They have yet to find something that actually works in terms of PvE content. And if they were actually able to get something like that working, it could be pretty big for this game, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people play PvE. A lot of people play that. So if they can get actually something that works out and it's actually quote unquote fun to do, that's a big W, and that would honestly help this game reach a lot of people. You always get the comparison between Dokkan and Legends or whatever the case may be, even though they're two completely different games. But one thing that Dokkan does, and what makes it a lot more popular, is that it's a very casual and it's very PvE centric. There's obviously no PvP, but it's PvE centric, so it's very easy for players to just download the game and start playing it. The gameplay itself for people that are casual players is good, and it's what keeps them engaged to the game, right? If you hop into Legends and just want a casual experience playing PvE, you're really not gonna get that, right? You're kind of forced to just play PvP, and if you don't want to play PvP, well, too bad. So if they can somehow get something good for PvE, that would be a major upside for this game. Next one on the list is actually a pretty, I would say it's an important one, it's a big one, and for free-to-play players, this would be huge, and is the removal of the 20k CC cap. Basically, let me explain what the 20k CC cap is. Basically, once you hit 20,000 CC, right, you're unable to exchange CC from shops, which includes your raid shops, PvP shops, whatever exchange shops that exist. Once you hit the 20k threshold, you can't actually exchange for those CC. Now, this doesn't mean you can't save up more than 20k CC. You can still claim CC from, you know, PvP, TOP, any sort of events, any missions. That will still give you, you're still able to procure that CC, and you're able to go beyond 20k. But there is a certain amount of CC that they give monthly that is strictly locked behind those exchange shops, and people that have 20k and 20k plus are not able to get that. And if you're free to play, you need every CC that you can get, and since you're not able to get that, you're missing out on CC, which I would say is pretty bad. They used to have this CC cap even in the regular store, where you actually buy CC with real currency, real money, but they removed that and they made that 200k CC now. That's the cap. I mean, if that was me, I would obviously allow people to get 200k CC, but you had to kind of think of it in their head, because they obviously don't want you to be hoarding CC and then spend it all on one unit, right? That's obviously not what they want you to do. They want you to spend CC on every banner so that once you're like low on CC, you can buy CC, right? It's obviously scummy in our point of view, but in their perspective, it's how they make money, right? I would say to at least try to find a balance in between those two. You can have a soft cap on it, but at least increase it, right? 20k, increase it to like 40k. That's still, it's an extra 20k, but for free-to-play players, that would go a long way. For an extra 20k CC as a cap, that would make it a lot better. But I feel like 20k is being a bit generous in their eyes. So even like 30k, it's still, I would say 40k would be a better number, but even 30k is still better than 20k, right? So some sort of change to the CC cap. I don't think they're gonna remove it completely. That's in my opinion, that's out of the question. But at least increase that cap to allow some flexibility for these free-to-play players that have to save up CC and, you know, getting shafted whatsoever. So, because these banners are pretty brutal. And I guess this kind of transition into the next point, and it's the rework of the Ultra banners. Right now, these Ultra banners are pretty terrible. For the most part, you're only trying to summon for the Ultra units. The feature units are not that great. And the even bigger, I guess, flaw in this banner is that there's no pity system. At least in the Legends Limited banners, you have the summon coins, and once you hit 50 summon coins, you can get a free copy of the LF, right? It's happened to me. I have to reach 50 coins. But these Ultra banners, you can theoretically go like 200k CC and not pull the character, which is just insane to me. So some sort of pity system for the Ultra banner, and maybe even, I don't know if they want to rework the banner. Actually, they should rework the banner, because right now, even the oldest Ultra banner, USG, is returning on its original banner. Who the fuck would summon for that? Why would you even summon for that? That makes no sense. So maybe starting to slowly incorporate these older Ultras into these newer banners, having potentially multiple Ultras per banner. Now, I already know someone's gonna be like, oh, but now if there's multiple Ultras, if I see a Super Saiyan Bardock animation, it's not guaranteed the Ultra. Imagine seeing the Ultra animation and you get an old one. Listen. Those type of comments are the worst, because it just makes zero logical sense. The rate of the Ultra is still gonna remain the same. You just add an additional Ultra. So let's say the rate of an Ultra is 0.75. No, sorry, it's 0.35, because double rate is 0.7. Let's say the rate of an Ultra is 0.35. If you add an Ultra, it's not gonna decrease the rate of the older Ultra. It's just adding on another Ultra, which means you have a 0.35 for that, and then you have a 0.35 for another one, which means you have a 0.7% chance of pulling an Ultra unit. The way they do this is by reducing certain rates of the hero units or the EX units, so they can kind of add more rates to the Ultra, whatever. They're not gonna lower the current Ultra to add a newer Ultra. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. So please don't make that argument. It's stupid. It makes no sense. Having multiple Ultras in the banner is nothing, is a good thing. There's no downside to it. So stop it. Yes, they need to add multiple Ultras per banner. No question whatsoever. They need to add a pity system to this, because you shouldn't be able to go 200k CC into a banner and not be able to pull the unit. That makes no sense. And so finally, the last thing I want to cover, it's not something big, but it's something that many people, myself included, have wanted for so long. And I feel like with this new update, it makes a lot of sense for them to do this. And it's going to be new summon animations. Yes. Obviously, the animations have been getting a lot better recently with the LFs and stuff. Obviously, this new update is increasing the RAM so that you're able to have better quality animations, all this good stuff, right? This is perfect for new summon animations. Let me tell you something. The last new summon animation we got was the Vegito versus Broly summon animation that dropped in the 2nd anniversary. We are just a few months away from the 7th anniversary. Almost 5 years ago is when we got the last new summon animation. Now, obviously, they've added certain new things like the screen crack. For certain banners back a couple of years ago, actually, they've changed the background of it. When Beast Gohan first dropped, they added the superhero background. They only did that once for whatever reason. They've done those kind of things, but they haven't really done any new animations. Like the Whis animation, Super Saiyan Blue animation, all that stuff, they dropped, that was pre-2nd anniversary also. So it's been 5 years since we gotten any new summon animation. At this point, remove all these older animations and change it. Spirit Bomb animation, we don't need. Vegeta, get Vegeta out of the summon animation. Please get that guy out of there. Whis animation is still cool, I guess. Dragon Fist animation, get that shit out of there. We need some new villains. Frieza, I'm tired of looking at Frieza. Give us, you know, Jiren or Zamasu. Like, we have Vegeta versus Broly. The one that many people have wanted is Gogeta versus Zamasu. It's like a flip of the animation, right? Because they dropped the Broly versus Vegeta animation during the 2nd anniversary when Vegeta was the newest unit, right? The anniversary unit. So you can kind of see why they dropped that. But I'm sure it rubbed a lot of Gogeta fans the wrong way, because it's Vegito versus Broly. So to, I guess, appease them, just invert it. Gogeta versus corrupted Zamasu. That could be cool. Imagine, you know, you have Goku dying and then he revives in his UI and he goes to kill Frieza. Or it's Jiren that replaces Frieza or whatever the case may be. Like, there is so much they can do. There is so many animations they can do. You know, Beast going versus Cell Max special beam cannon, whatever. Whereas Cell Max throws that ball or whatever. There's just so much they can do. And this is quite literally the perfect moment for them to add these animations. It's literally, I couldn't think of a better time for them to drop this. You know, 7th anniversary, they're trying to make it the best anniversary ever. This update is the biggest update they've ever dropped ever. Just, it is time. It's time. New summon animations, please. Summoning has become such a pain in the ass. It's a chore. So at the very least, make it so that I don't have to see one pod green sky every single multi I do. Please, just, it would be cool. It would be cool. So this is the list I've compiled with all you guys' feedback to all the comments. I've made the YouTube post, the Twitter post, everything. I've compiled this list of the most commented ones. But if there are still other changes you want to see, definitely drop a comment letting me know, because honestly, there can never be too many changes people want. Like I said, they've hyped this update up for the past year, so everyone's expectations are at an all-time high. Please don't fumble this.